right, y'all, what is going on? This is your man L Jamal. You are now turned into another segment of Upon Further Review. This is where I like to do, of course, all my reviews. Today is gonna be a special movie because, a bit of a special movie because, for one, this is Big Daddy starring Adam Sandler. This came out at the height of his popularity. I would say his initial popularity. This is right after Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, and this film in particular is very important to me, at least for this segment, because this pretty much embodies this segment. This is definitely a movie that I truly liked as a kid. That did not change as I was older, but there were some definite things that I picked up as I've gotten older on my further reviews of the movie. So this is, like I said, this is the embodiment of what this segment was supposed to be about, especially for stuff that I came across as a younger adult, maybe even a kid. But it's to compare my initial reactions, maybe, my more recent reaction if this is a newer song or whatever, compared to my past reaction, my initial reaction. So again, back in the day, I really loved this movie. This movie had me rolling. This was one of the funniest movies I had seen. But as I got older, like I said upon further review, there was a lot more there was a lot more weight that got added to this movie for me. So for one, let's get into it. Let's talk about who the who the main character is. Sonny Koufax. Sonny Koufax, of course, played by Adam Sandler, 32-year-old male living in the New York City area. Now he, I guess you can label him, and it was done throughout the movie, so you can label him as what you would call a slacker. Now he was in law school. That's where he's met up with his current roommate slash best friend, Kevin Garrity, played by Jon Stewart. He also has some other friends that he had made in law school, but he did drop out, and he decided to work at a toll booth. Of course, change of pace from what everybody expected or his potential. And when I was younger, I saw him working at his, toll booth job, and I heard people saying, I saw the scenes in the beginning of the movie, and I just, kind of, especially with the scene with his girlfriend in the beginning, she goes, I want something serious, pretty much, and not a play thing. And when you're younger, you kind of looking at it, and it kind of seems funny on the surface, but then you become older, and you know what it's like to miss out on certain things, to in fact become a slacker in certain ways. I dropped out of college myself, so again, upon further review, I kind of got a chance to kind of connect with that and say, yeah, it's possible. It's very easy to kind of end up on, I guess you would say, for lack of a better word, the loser side of life. And maybe that's not the right way to describe it, but in many ways, I felt like I could be in Sonny's shoes. I definitely been in relationships where it wasn't implicitly implied as to that's why this person was leaving, but you can kind of obviously tell, hey, you got to get your act together. Your act is not right. She's not impressed by this, and things would happen, in terms of that. So I definitely, when I got older, especially my last time reviewing this movie, I'm like, man, I've been there. I know what it's all about. Later on, like I said, he lives with his buddy Kevin, and they come over. Well, not Kevin, at least yet, but his friends. Basically Kevin's girlfriend, played by Leslie Munn. Her name in the movie, Corinne. That's her name. That's kind of Sonny's foil. She's one of the main people that calls him out on his slackerness and all that. But she holds a party for Kevin, a surprise party for Kevin, and Sonny shows up. He ruins the initial surprise. So that's one of the biggest things that you see in the beginning. Here comes Sonny, just in the way. And later on, Kevin attempts to, he attempts to propose to Corinne. Sonny kind of, interrupts that. Of course, Corinne says yes, and that, becomes another thing that's moving on out of Sonny's life. So eventually, we'll learn about a little bit more about Vanessa in just a second, but we kind of get already into the picture that things around him are changing, and he doesn't really like this. He wants things to kind of remain the same. He wants to be able to chill and hang out with his friends and party, but things are moving on. As you can see, his best friend Kevin, he's moving on. He's becoming married, and of course, his girlfriend, she wants a lot more from him. So again, he's in this spot right now where he doesn't know what he wants to do, what he wants to be about, and I've been there. So in the beginning, you kind of laugh at all the things that are going on to him, and like, damn, especially the scene where there's this rat seen on the rooftop, and there's this tradition in which he there's this little hole on top of his roof. He plays a little bit of golf up there, and he goes, if I make this putt, Vanessa's gonna come back to me. Everything's gonna come back to normal. Everything's gonna be all good. He makes the putt, but a rat comes out, and it just signals kind of what where this is headed. It's probably not going in the best way. But let's move on. Of course, Sonny, he's trying to find, something to, I guess, bring up about a spark of some change in his life. And, it's funny how the universe works itself out. So one day, Sonny's just chilling. Him and his, buddy, his delivery partner, played by Rob Schneider, they're chilling. And this kid is dropped off at his front door. This kid is named Julian McGrath. His mother is unknown, but his mother is dying, and his mother can no longer take care of him. So they drop him off at who she assumes to be Kevin Garrity. But of course, this is, Adam Sandler's character answering the door. He doesn't know what's going on. He calls up Kevin and also social services. Nobody knows what's really going on except for social services, of course, knows that is, of course, Kevin Garrity's address. What Sandler decides to do here, I think, is a little bit crazy, but I guess he's going through these things in his life. He wants to change. He wants to look like he's mature, so he decides that he'll handle the kid and take the kid in himself, and he decides to pretend to be Kevin Garrity. Now, with this new, plan, he decides that he'll go and, impress Vanessa and show her that he's all grown up. But of course, this doesn't work, and Sonny is met with an older gentleman by the name of Sid, and it turns out that Vanessa has decided to move on. And of course, Sonny is mad, but could you really blame her at the time? Not necessarily. So, and her biggest thing was the maturity that Sid had. Now, Sid, like I said, is a much older man. He's already graying. He's, pretty much, probably even retirement age almost. But according to Vanessa, she has this 5-year plan. Of course, Sonny scoffs at that. He goes, "What is it? Don't die." So he's really dismissive of her new relationship, of course, with this elderly man. But according to Vanessa, this elderly man has his stuff on right, and that's what she's looking for. So you can't really fault her. Sonny at the time was not showing her that, and just bringing around just some kid, just adopting some random kid was not going to necessarily change anything. With that being said, Sonny decides to say, fuck it. I'm just going to bond with this kid. I'm going to be a father for this child. And they do that. In the beginning, Sandler is somewhat of a, he's an enabler. He kind of lets Julian, who he renames or he allows to be renamed Frankenstein, to kind of do his thing, kind of just, kind of let him, hang out, chill. There's no real plan. Eventually, Julian does decide to go to school, but that's on his accord, not Sonny making him, not Sonny enrolling him. It's just kind of an idea he just kind of just comes out of the woodwork with. You kind of see where, even in the beginning, you kind of just see where, Sandler's character was just kind of doing this just to kind of impress Vanessa. He really didn't have a plan himself about this. He just kind of just wanted, he just figured that Vanessa would come back, see that he's more mature, at least on the surface, and kind of, fall for that. But it didn't work. So he's having to deal with this kid. It's a little bit more difficult than what he thought. And he tries to get social services back into the mix by trying to get him a home. So at the time, he's taking care of him until they find a proper setup for him. Now, through the course of this, he still bonds with Julian, and he kind of ends up kind of forgetting about the situation, the troubles that he's had before. And he's still bonding with him, and he's still becoming this little guy's friend. And of course, with how this plot thickens, it makes all sense. It kind of makes it not really freaky or really weird, because you got to think about it. Really though, he lied to social services. He's this completely different guy that nobody knows about. Of course, he ends up being, well, we'll talk about the plot twist near the end. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have seen this movie, know about it, but still, just on the surface, like, man, this random guy taking this little kid in, and of course, with all that's happened in the course of the years, and we know about Pizzagate, for lack of a better word, and just the Catholic priests and all that they've done. And, to kind of have a movie like this, of course, is right before all that stuff comes out. Of course, well before Pizzagate and a few years before the Catholic priests and what they did and all that. So, again, those stories where you have an adult male figure kind of bonding with these children. I know nowadays it might be a little bit weird, or just, adults in general being really close to kids in general. But I think this one, for what it's worth, I think the circumstances in which he got the kid, of course, the line and being all that, that's, weird. But of course, he did feed the kid. He raised the kid as best as he could. He was able to get the kid back into school. And for the most part, little Julian, played by Cole and Dylan Sprouse, the two twins, who also found fame on, what's that other show, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody or whatever, Disney Channel stuff. So again, the kid itself was healthy. Again, he had got the kid back into school. And in terms of Sonny's personal life, he ends up hooking up with Corinne's sister by the name of Layla Maloney. Now, Layla is also into law as well. She's a lawyer. She's a lawyer, and she kind of inspires Sonny, especially at the end of the movie, to get back into that himself for his career. But again, it's a little funny scene where he sends Julian to kind of go run interference for him, and it just kind of sparks from there. They have their first kiss, which is pretty much interrupted by Corinne. She doesn't like it. Of course, she has all these feelings about Sonny. And again, one thing about Corinne's back and forth with Sonny is that when I was younger, I really didn't like her as a character. I just felt like she was just giving this man a hard time just for no reason. Like, yeah, he ain't all that, whatever. He might not have all the money, but why are you really just dogging him like that? I still kind of felt like she did that because at the end of the day, he might have been, he might have not had all the money. He might have not had, super ambitions and wanted to be rich or whatever, and, had a swanky apartment or whatever. But he wasn't ever an asshole. And yes, they had that back and forth. He used to, roast her for working for Hooters, but you never, saw him really doing out of pocket things to people. So I just kind of felt like Corinne just over here, always just busting his balls every time. I never really liked that, but the older I got, I kind of got it. Especially, with her sister being involved. She doesn't want her sister to get caught up in all that. She doesn't, she saw what happened to Vanessa probably, and knowing that, Vanessa had to go through so many things with him, she probably didn't want her sister to go through that either. So I get that too. But I just thought that she just kind of like she just had it out for dude. But as far as Julian goes, he does start to slip up. Of course, Sonny not being a real authoritative or disciplinarian kind of allows Julian to slack off a little bit. He was slacking in school, not really doing the work, and just overall not keeping up with his hygiene. There's a scene with him pissing in the corner of the classroom. Again, he's on the crazier side. He's on the looser side. He hasn't had no real structure like that. So it challenges Sonny to not only improve, the kid's situation and make him a better student and all that, but it forced him to become a better man as well, because he has to be that. He has to lead from example. So it inspires him to even dress up as Scuba Steve, which is Julian's, little hero, whatever, to get him just to bathe, to get him back into reading again. So he helps the kid read, he helps teach the kid how to spell, and the kid does a wonderful job on the school play where he plays Benjamin Franklin. That was the biggest problem this teacher had. He's like, if you want to get him right for this play. And they worked hard at it. He had him spelling, he had him, reading, he had him, using his voice. So again, he really helped Julian out of a lot of his issues, because again, Julian had some issues as well. Julian, he came into the picture, very reserved. Of course, his mom is dying. He had no real family and nobody really to talk to. So Sonny kind of brought that out of him, and also helped him helped him flourish in school. Now, with all these things going down, yes, there is some nice things to go down and everything like that. But again, Sonny had broken the law. Social services, headed by Albert Brooks. He's played in the movie by Josh Mostel. He shows up to Sonny's apartment and he realizes, of course, that that is not Kevin Garrity, but somebody completely different. And he apprehends Julian, and he also, of course, takes Sonny to court. Sonny could go to jail for this. Now, of course, Sonny, he gets all his buddies to help him out. All the buddies that we've seen through the course of this movie. The old drunk guy. Of course, he has his delivery guy. And then, of course, Steve Buscemi's character as well. He was a very crazy hobo in this movie. But again, they all testify on Sonny's behalf, albeit not the best testimonies. But again, they seem to have his back. Near the end, Sonny has his father, Lenny Colfax, played, I can't remember his first name. I think his name is Jerry. But his last name is Baloney. So, Sonny's dad, Lenny, played by Jerry Baloney. Now, he has his own little cross-examination of Sonny. And Sonny, he kind of has his speech. And he lets it all hang out. He lets his feelings hang out. And he convinces his father. He convinced his father that he's serious about this, and his father, is even compelled to tell the judge, like, hey, I think my son deserves this kid. But of course, the judge is not convinced, and of course, he definitely, there was some fraud, some stuff that he wasn't supposed to do. He was supposed to go down, but a clear case of osmosis, and just thank God people were paying attention to what was going on. His partner Kevin finally comes to the grips of what had happened, and it's apparently his kid. It was his kid, and in the movie it kind of explained it. It's not a super deep explanation, and you kind of it's like, wow, okay, for you to kind of just remember that and kind of just put one and two together, it's like, wow, damn, especially at that, with all that going on, like, damn. But anyways, Julian's mom, I guess, met up with the crew during some World Series party, and they had traveled out to Toronto to watch the game, and I guess she was a Hooters girl. There you go. There's that Hooters theme again. They all loved Hooters. They still loved Hooters. They were at the Hooters in the end. They were at a Hooters in the end of the movie. Fucking Hooters. But again, okay. So Kevin sleeps with a Hooters girl. That's Julian's mom. Of course, like I said, she ended up passing away. And bam. Okay, right there at the courthouse, Kevin remembers it. There's this, oh man, yeah, Hooters girl, whatever. And child service was like, pinning the blood test. We're done, like, whatever. Like, this case was crazy. This whole court scene was crazy. So yeah, just give us a blood test. If you're the daddy, it's over. So long story short, of course, Julian doesn't like that he's bonded with Sonny, but the law is what the law is, and of course, Sonny is gonna be around because Kevin is his best friend, so he's gonna be around in Julian's life. So it wasn't like he had to go away forever or nothing like that. And it is a positive ending for this movie. The changes that Sonny had to make, and the change in how he conducted himself to help out Julian, it inspired him, and it permeated throughout the rest of his life. And at the end of the movie, it speeds up about 2 years, and later on down the line, again, at the end scene of the movie, Sonny has accomplished finishing law school. He married Layla, and they have a child of their own. And of course, Julian's still around. He's very happy with Corinne and Kevin. And again, Sonny is involved in his life. And so again, I think the biggest thing, when I'm older, is kind of understanding. And and let me talk about that end scene, just because this is funny. Now at the end scene, we all remember Vanessa Wright, mad at Sonny, didn't figure that Sonny didn't have his life together. She was working as an event planner herself. She thought she had it all together. She meets up with this older guy named Sid. He has a 5-year plan. I guess he had to take a detour at Hooters, and that's where you see him to finish the movie. So again, just a couple things that I really liked, especially as I gotten older, and I liked how, as I've gotten older, I have some parallels here, with Sonny, and how, my life kind of came out. and it's, you know, and it's kind of one of those things that you can have a connection to. Like, I know what it's like to kind of be a slack. I know what it's like to have things and people pass you by, especially, you know, old friends and old lovers, and you just want to be on top of your stuff. And sometimes, you know, it's easy for you to get distracted. It's easy for you to want to give up on certain things, and, you know, again, you're stuck in that rut. And you'll find any type of thing to kind of, you know, drag you out. Don't think I haven't played the Sonny Colfax routine. Now, mind you, I didn't do that with social services, but I've definitely, especially when I was younger, I dated somebody with kids, and I thought I was gonna be the best stepdaddy in the world, and it was gonna change my life, and it didn't. It didn't. The minute I lost my job, she had to leave. So, I get it personally. I mean, I love the movie, especially like when I said I got older, I was able to bring some type of, you know, correlations together. So yeah, I know what that's about. Some of those scenes, like I said, especially with the scene with Vanessa and Sonny at the beginning, you know, he's not taking it super seriously. You know, he's like, oh man, it's nothing. You know, you know, his mind, you could tell his mindset is on something different. But you know, his girl is like, nah, I don't want that. You know, I want something, you know, I want something more stable. I want stability. I want maturity. And at times you don't see it like that. You know, and you have to go through certain things, and you have to, you know, have certain trials and tribulations to figure that out. So, here's to me growing up. Here's to me responding to those things. Here's to, you know, Sonny Colfax through his journey, you know, solving those things. Because you can always be a slacker, but you can always turn that off too. You don't always have to be a slacker. You don't always have to be nothing in your life. Sometimes it might take a spark, like you know, doing what he did to do it. I wouldn't do what he did per se, but it might take you, you know, taking on a few more responsibilities. It might take on you starting a whole new hobby and changing up who you are. It might take you leaving somebody or starting a new relationship, for that matter. You might have to play a stepfather for somebody, and that's fine. Whatever makes you happy, whatever gets you, whatever keeps you going on a positive level every day and keeps you creating positive situations for yourself and people. That's what the point is, and that's what I learned from this movie. You can't stop, you know, and you know, and you don't know what, you know, is going to trigger the positive changes in your life, and you can't be mad about it. When it comes, you got to embrace them. You know, again, he brought this kid on. He thought it was going to be easy, and it wasn't. He had to lose his girlfriend. He had to lose his past to gain somewhat of his future, and it took having to, you know, go through this to do that. Everybody's situation is different. Me, I found a different activity. I found hobbies. I found something that could possibly be a career. So everybody's going to work differently, but it's about finding those things that keep you up and keep giving you a purpose every day. And that's the point that I wanted to bring here, and that's why I think this movie embodies what this segment is all about. Because again, when I first looked at this movie as a kid, I loved it. It was probably one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, just based off the scenes and just the jokes. But as an adult man, I see, you know, the themes here, and I see the themes very strongly, and I relate to those themes, and I'm glad that I can see something that I can relate to, and say that, no, it's not over. You just got to keep on trying. If he could do it, y'all can do it. Anybody could do it. All right, y'all. I'm going to call it a wrap for today. When I come back, I will be giving you guys a straight-up sports recap. Of course, the NFL it just started last night. We had the Chiefs and the Texans go at it. So I will be going over all that on my podcast. Of course, with the same name, Never Out of Bounds. That is the place where you can say whatever you want as long as you got them facts. So look out for that on Anchor and Spotify, and of course Apple as well. I will be putting this up later on today or possibly tonight. Just gotta do some editing here. So look out for it as well on YouTube. So again, y'all, this is your man El Jamal signing out for now. If anybody hasn't told you yet, I love you. Peace out, one love, and I'll let you guys later.